Greetings and welcome to another edition of the Alliance for PE Pipes podcast program, known as the Poly Podcast. We're delighted today to interview none other than Brett Stone from McElroy. But before we get started with that, we're going to say thanks to WL Plastics for sponsoring another Alliance podcast program. And Dan Landy, good afternoon.
Hey, Peter. Yeah, thanks to WL, we've been getting into, we're the municipal water guys, but we get questions in all these other markets. And I know this week, a couple particular markets you and I took the adventure of learning. So, thanks for the continued support. Brad, thanks for being here today. Looking forward to hearing more about the I-Series, right? Is that where?
Well, that's what Brett says he wants to talk about for sure. But before we get started with that, Dan, tell us, who you are, what you do, and what value you bring to the industry.
Yeah, so the Alliance has always been known for its good presence at roadshows, trade shows, etc. But one of the things we kind of had been missing before I came on was, where do we go from there? How do we stay in contact? How do we actually help you work through some projects? And we have some really cool ones coming out right now. I'm a little bit, I don't want to talk about them on the podcast quite yet, but all the touch points between deciding polyethylene is a good approach to actually getting guys out there in the field fusing it. Getting engineers comfortable working with it, cities, municipalities, townships, contractors, etc. So becoming a resource just for everybody out there, whatever they do come across, making sure that they feel supported if they are going to be changing their approach to a leak-free system.
So you're helping bring polyethylene to these municipalities, both at the design phase, but also during construction, is that it?
Yeah, that's what the conversation, I was a little bit late to this, we were having was, the construction methods change. They become more simple. Sometimes they are different. You need a lay down area, etc. So getting people to think a little bit differently. And once they accept it, the engineer I was just talking about was bragging to me that he just released a $3 million project and all of his bids from high to low were within $100,000. So that's a really good sign of a mature market. People understanding the product well and now having confidence to actually go out and bid it, because people used to just say polyethylene, if I have to do this, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm going to throw some money on there, kind of like a tax, if they don't want to do it. So if they are going to do it, they want to make a lot of money on it. So
that's a funny way to look at that. We'll call that the polyethylene tax in those markets that poly's not mature. So when he had really tight bids like that, Dan, that was a polyethylene bid project?
It was, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, this would be good for Brett to know. So 2 weeks ago, I was down in Fort Lauderdale with Brian Fletcher. Florida is our most mature polyethylene market. We have a 72% market penetration there in all the cities that are 15,000 to 250,000 population served cohort. And Brett, they were fusing 54-inch DR11 in the city of Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful. It's a great thing.
And they were using, obviously, a McElroy machine. And that's cutting edge stuff. There are only two projects that I know of right now that are 5411 in the United States, and one of them is in Fort Lauderdale. So that's pretty exciting. Well, Dan, that's enough about us and what we do. I'm excited to bring this content today. We haven't talked to McElroy for at least a couple years. We've talked to Brett Stone with Vince King. We've talked to Jim Johnston separately, and also their leader, Chip McElroy, for a great conversation. And Brett, let's get started by let's hear about Brett Stone. Who is Brett Stone, and what does he do for that great company down there in Tulsa that makes those green machines?
Well, first off, guys, thank you very much for having me on today. It's always an honor to see Peter and Dan. You guys make it happen on the road, and we sure appreciate all the effort you guys put into our industry. So I'm Brett Stone. I'm the I-Series product manager for McElroy Manufacturing right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm actually sitting in our brand new Broken Arrow facility in the very far back of the facility. We're still moving in. Actually, talk a little bit more about it, but the product over my right shoulder here is our new I-Series line, and that product line will be moving into the BA facility here within the next couple of weeks. So a lot of exciting time here, but I've been with McElroy about 12 years and started more on the sales side of things. I kind of consider myself right now, I'm kind of a fusion example myself happening because I went from the sales side to the product manager side, so I'm fusing both together. So I'm a hybrid guy out there, but really have enjoyed the product management side, especially taking this product from really idea phase up to what you see right here. So yeah, that's me. But again, appreciate you guys having me on.
Oh, for sure. So, Brett, early on in COVID, I had the pleasure of interviewing Chip, and one of the stories is the CEO of McElroy. One of the stories that he told me, you bring up the I-Series, was how the I-Series was hatched at McElroy. Do you recall that story?
I do. Actually, a couple of Chip's stories are phenomenal. When Chip talks, everybody just boom, glues right in. But the I-Series really is about just the integration of the two technologies. So the track technology, which again was a Chip McElroy technology. And what's so great about our company is, Chip is right at the very top of our company, but Chip is a mechanical engineer by education and exceptionally smart man. And the innovation of this company is definitely driven top down. So many of the ideas that we have in this company start with Chip. So the track platform started with Chip, and the I-Series started with Chip as well. And there was obviously other people involved because we had all seen what was happening in the field. And you guys had seen it too. You had seen machines when we were at road shows, and we were instructing operators on the DataLogger, how to use the DataLogger, how to use the machine. So we had these two technologies together. How do we essentially fuse these technologies together and make them one? And hence that's where the I came from, the integration of the DataLogger into the actual operation of the machine itself. We started on the large diameter machines. That would be the Trackstar 630, 900, and 1200. And now we've moved it down into our medium diameter machines, which will be the 412 and the 618. Not yet the 28 machine, not yet the T500, just a 412, 618. And we are on, really, I'm excited. We're on just the edge of starting to launch these machines. Again, we're going to start building right here in Tulsa in the next couple of weeks, and the first units will be shipping out probably by the end of September. So
very, very cool. So that's quick history. But what was Chip's story? I recall a mine in Arizona, and Chip was out in the field listening to this guy say how great the machines were, but kind of complaining that they weren't that mobile on the job site.
Yep. So you're exactly right. It was Morenci Mine in Arizona, one of the world's largest copper mines, and they are a tremendous customer of McElroy. They have a lot of our machines out there. They also have contractors working inside the mine that are all using McElroy equipment. But yeah, Chip was actually on the site and talking to this operator. And, again, something I'm very proud of is when people tell us things, we're really listening. How to improve, always constant improvement. And this guy was like, you know what? Your rolling machines are good. They get my job done, but I'm not that productive. I've got to fuse. I've got to lift the pipe out of the jaws. I've got to roll or pull that machine down to the next joint. I've got to load the next joint, load the next piece of pipe, fuse, and so on and so on. How can I be more productive on the job? Hey, why don't you put this thing on tracks? So, boom, voila, light bulb goes off. How does that work? And so many of the innovative products that come out of McElroy, much like Art McElroy, when he started and designed the first fusion machine, it was a napkin type, conversation. Sitting down, drawing it out on a napkin. What about this? What about that? At that time, Chip involved with our engineering department and bouncing ideas off one another. And yeah, that's how it all evolved. And, today, honestly, we sell 90% tracked units over rolling units. So that is completely flipped. It used to be the other way, 90% rolling track, but now everybody has seen the productivity gains that you get on a track platform.
Well, I can see how that would happen. You got all these Caterpillar tractors out there that are running on tracks, and it's like, yeah, but then this McElroy machine shows up on wheels, and it's like, in these mines, they're not stable ground. I mean, there's grade, they're on angles. I mean, they're like this, and what a pain that would be. But well, what a great product. And how many years has that been, Brett, since track machines have been developed?
Yeah, the first track machine was launched in the market in 1997. So, yeah, 1997 was the first machine, and just in that time frame, we sell a lot of track machines.
Well, 30 years is a lifetime in this business, for sure. I've been in it for almost 15 years, and I think you and I've been in the industry about the same amount of time, Brett. Imagine think about all the changes we've seen during that time. When I look back, when I was thinking about what we were going to talk about today, I was like, what are the top 3 achievements I've noticed from McElroy? And I'm going to tell you mine, and then I'd love to hear yours. And the first would be the DataLogger. When we started talking, and you guys gave me a DataLogger to bring out on the road, and people just kind of look at me like, what the heck is that thing? Is that an iPad? And the DataLogger, to the group of people that know polyethylene and appreciate it, it's been a game changer. To the group that doesn't really get poly yet, they're thinking, don't really think I need to spend that money. I don't get it. But that has transformed the market for the better, I think. The second is the I-Series. Just what it's doing, and I want to talk about that today for sure, but it's the next step in the tracked line. That just makes so much sense. And I'd say the third, which, Dan and I don't see this as much, Brett, in the municipal market, but we see it in the oil field and in mining, is optimized cooling. And we're getting into larger diameter transmission lines now because as I mentioned at the top of this broadcast, that 5411 job down in Fort Lauderdale, those engineers on that job, they wanted to see those DataLogger reports. Like, at the end of the day, I want to see every report. And that is huge. But they weren't using optimized cooling. But anyway, those 3 things I think are very cool. Talk about achievement, talk about making a difference in the industry. This innovation that you guys bring to the fusion market it's really fun to pay attention to.
Wow. Yeah. So now my 3, huh?
Yeah.
Where do I begin? You guys will, so you're going to understand this so much better when you first come to our Broken Arrow facility. So a little history on here. So we've got a museum here. So when you walk in the front door, you go to your left, you walk into a little cove, and it's a museum around Art McElroy, the starting of the company. When you walk in there, you walk around and you see, you probably see like 30 innovations developed by McElroy, starting from when Art was just an entrepreneur in his garage, designing stuff that people were coming to him with. And you're like, I had no idea. And then you go around the corner and you're like, I had no idea. These innovations and products that came out of this, I mean, from boat trailers that pivoted based on your pitch of the ramp you're going to, Art designed that. A special type of comb for your pet. I had no idea that was out there. I don't know if you remember the simple fuse. Remember that word, Pete? You probably heard a little bit of it. More designed for the natural gas guys, but the product we sent to the market, and then we had to pull back out of the market because was like, hold on, we're not ready for this yet in development. Nobody wanted to give them back because they liked them so much. So, but when you think of the three things, the three really products that have affected me the most, and I'll say affected me and are affecting our company right now, and I might sneak in, I might go 3.5 here. So definitely the DataLogger, because the DataLogger creates a consistent pattern every single time in the marketplace for fusing polyethylene pipe. Now with the integration of that into the equipment where we're operating the machine through the DataLogger, and I can talk much more about that here soon, it's just simplifying it for the operator. I mean, we have automatic fusion now. Hit a button and the machine just goes to work and does it for you.
It's that simple.
That simple. Otherwise, you can do level 2 of fusion guide control. And it's like what I like to say is the operator and the machine are having a conversation. So the DataLogger is asking the operator a question. The operator can, yes, I accept. I want to go ahead and move that to that next level. So they're just having this conversation out there in the field when the operator needs to control that time component a little bit more. Yeah. So by far, DataLogger has been a massive game changer. I'm going to throw it back at you a little bit here on this one. This one, I'm going to say polypropylene. The polypropylene market. Polypropylene's massive over in Europe and throughout the UK. But it's really still getting its roots deep here into the United States. It has so far to go. The reason I say this is we've got a couple of engineers where some folks on our side came back and said, this is what they're doing. How do we do it? And this is a perfect example of McElroy. These guys went to work and they designed these tools that are really incredibly well thought out, making it very simple for the operator to be able to fuse pipe, not only on the ground like we're used to, fusing it up above, in the rafters, in the ceiling, 30, 40 feet up off the ground, being able to fuse pipe, polyethylene or polypropylene pipe up in the air. So, and some of those products have actually made their way to the polyethylene market as well. There's crossover some of those products as well. So,
Brett, how do you? Well, first of all, what's the difference between polyethylene and polypropylene?
So polypropylene is a product very similar to polyethylene. It's just different chemical makeup, different compound. It's a polypropylene material like polyethylene. They're both thermoplastic pipes, but polypropylene has got essentially a core in the middle of the pipe itself, and that's for rigidity because it's typically it is going up in the air and not going in the ground. So it's trying to build that structure into that pipe itself. Lightweight. So you've ever been into a building, see these guys with stainless steel, and they're having to manage getting that stainless all the way up into the rafters and fuse, and that's a heavy stick of pipe. Think about it. Now they're lifting a 2, 3 inch, 4 inch stick of polypropylene up in the air. Lightweight, very easy to maneuver, very easy to fuse. And so it's really becoming a game changer within.
So these are, but why polypropylene? Because it carries higher temperature?
It can carry higher temperature. It can carry, the same similar pressures, a little higher pressures than what we're seeing out of polyethylene. And so, yeah, but really it's just the ease of assembly, less manpower to be able to do it, a lot less costly overall in terms of the products, and the ability to be able to fuse it has just come so far because there's so many different scenarios that you're fusing to up in the sky versus in the ground. And so there's a lot of different types of tools that have to be created to be able to do that.
I don't want to go too deep on polypropylene, but if you're fusing up in the air, what's holding the fusion machine? Because the pipe can't hold it. So what holds the fusion machine?
Well, that's the whole design of the machine itself. It's designed to be very lightweight, compact. Typically they're going to be on a genie or a man lift of some sort. So they're going to have their HPU, their hydraulic power unit, right there, connected to the machine, where the machine's going to wrap around the pipe itself and then be able to fuse it, bring it in, fuse it together to make your connection. Right.
Wow. Cool. Okay, that's two. I got PPR and the DataLogger.
Yeah, and this is where I struggle because, if you've ever seen the Talon working, it's really an engineering marvel because it's a different way of fusing pipe, because you're picking the pipe up in the belly of the machine and bringing it in, because you have to. That diameter of pipe, you just mentioned that job in Fort Lauderdale, it's 54 inch. Think about having to lift 54 inch, a 50-foot stick of 54-inch pipe. How much equipment's needed to be able to do that? One machine, the Talon, can do it on its own. So I would say that's kind of my half, because it's phenomenal. But I'd have to go with just the track units. We talked about it early on, and the I series, and being able to take your track unit, being able to take the technology of the DataLogger. Plus, I am the I series product manager, so I've got to have that within my top three. So that's number three. But if you ever get a chance to go to see the Talon, do so. It's incredible. A lot of footage on YouTube. I hope you don't mind me giving a YouTube plug here, but you can just go under and put Talon on YouTube and see what comes up. But
Yeah.
Again, I could go on and on and on. There's so many things. When you said top three, it's like, holy cow, Peter, that's a tough one. But anyway.
Yeah, Brett, the biggest thing I noticed about McElroy is, you kind of made an allusion to Apple earlier, and every time Apple comes out with something new, I don't like it initially, and then I don't remember how I used my phone before it or my computer. And that's definitely something you guys you're always ahead of the curve on what the market's looking for, doing and expecting and improving production. Is the guided workflow now on all I-Series machines? Is that even these medium diameters?
It is. Yep. Yeah. Great question, Dan. So guided workflow essentially is fusion guide control is what our trademark is. So if you think fusion guide control, so it is on anything I-Series, it is on our large diameter machines and our medium diameter machines, like this one right here. And so what that means is it has level 1, level 2, level 3. So level 1 is special fusion circumstances, saying you're in the ditch, you've got to do a tie-in, you need more control over that operation by being able to control your open close, being able to control how much dwell time you have, just that essentially it's like managing that shift sequence. So when you came here and went through training, you learned how to do that shift sequence. You're still controlling that shift sequence through level 1. Level 2, like I said earlier, is the operator and the machine having a conversation. So say we're fusing in Canada in February, and it's say 10 degrees or even negative. And, there are certain things we're looking for. We're looking for that bead to develop around the heater surface. We're looking for that dwell time. We're looking for a certain bead to develop on that heater surface before we're ready to start our open close. Heater comes out, come together, make your final fusion. You're looking for all that thing, but in that type of environment, your dwell time has got to be much longer than what it normally would be, just because of how cold it is. And we always encourage you to be in an environment where you can put a house or something over you. And these guys get really creative out there how they do it. But anyway, that's level 2. But level 3 is automatic fusion. So they've been doing automatic fusion in Europe for a long, long time. 30 years, I think, roughly. Excuse me. And we built those machines, but we just didn't bring them to the United States. And people were like, why do we need auto fusion here? It wouldn't work. Well, I will tell you today that we have, I would be I'd be lying if I told you this, but say we have over 100,000 joints in the vault today that were classified as level 3, meaning auto fusion. So the large diameter I series has now been in the field for about 4 years. So say out of that 100,000 joints, 60% of those joints are level 3. Think about that. 60% are automatic fusion. So it's become a game changer. The operators love that consistent nature. Let the machine just do the work for you. Why do the work? And the productivity gains you're seeing from level 3. So what we're learning is, say Pete's on a machine down in Arizona, again at Morenci, and you're fusing in level 3, and you've got to do a stringer of 500 feet, so you're able to fuse, but your supervisor saying, hey, Pete, you need to move all this other pipe in place. You need to go answer some emails while you're waiting. You need to be doing all these other things too. That's what level 3 does for you. It gives you that added time. So not to just completely abandon the machine while it's in its process, still be attentive to the machine, of course, but allows the operator to be able to do other functions around the job. We've seen huge productivity gains. In fact, I was on a job site recently, and just completely unprovoked, a supervisor came right up to me and said, he goes, I can't tell you how much added productivity you've given us through level 3 fusion. We've actually finished this job a month and a half ahead of schedule. So the bonus structure to be able to do that, all these guys were going to be able to get that bonus just because of the added benefit of being able to fuse that fast.
So what specifically in that case, Brett, how would they be more efficient? I mean, a level 3 fusion with a DataLogger theoretically isn't any quicker than what the guy would be doing, because it's the same process. It's just automated. So that means he's got to be doing something else during that time, right?
Yeah, he's just doing in that downtime where, say if you're in a level, say if you're fusing 36-inch on a legacy T900, okay? You're having to go through the shift sequence. You've made your fusion, and you've come together, and now you're into your cool time. So the cool time allows that operator to peel off. Now we've given him additional time, because once that machine starts the process, he's already faced the pipe, but once he hits go, once the pipe comes together under that heater surface and under that dwell time, that could be another 30 minutes of just sitting there watching that dwell time. Well, now an operator in level 3, it's automatically going to happen. He'd have to stand there, because once the machine hits that point and it reads displacement, it's going to drop. It's going to go into your dwell time. And then when it's time for your open close, pipe's going to separate, heater's going to come out, it's going to come together and make your fusion. So that whole process alone, say it's an additional 40, 45 minutes right there.
Yeah, on big diameter it could be. What's that phrase, dwell time? What does that mean?
Dwell time is your essentially soak time. So it's your heat soak.
Okay.
So when your pipe comes together into your heater surface and it's just dwelling against that, not putting pressure on, just sitting nice and cozy against that heater surface, and all that, bringing all that good heat and melt, that's your dwell time.
All right, so you guys started, this is kind of counterintuitive, Brett. You started the I series with large diameter. Typically, companies would do the easier, smaller diameter stuff first. You guys went after the big equipment first. Why did you do that? Wouldn't you start with a smaller where the risk is less?
Really, it's because that's what the market told us. We could have easily started in the medium diameter. The bread and butter, the sweet spot off our bat, so to speak, if I'm a hitter, is right in medium diameter. I mean, we sell, I don't know, this is probably just round numbers or so, but we probably sell 10 medium diameter machines to every large diameter, But in talking to operators and talking to supervisors and talking to the market, they said, you know what? Something about large pipe where people struggle. It's not the 12-inch, it's not the 6-inch, 8-inch, in that range. it's really that 36-inch, 48-inch. For some reason, you're getting that bigger pipe, and it's like, it's just something with size tends to throw people off. So we felt like we can bring this technology into that large diameter to ease the operator's fears, being able to fuse pipe, then that's where we need to begin. And essentially that's, with the I series, we've been able to ramp operators up faster. So if you have a crew, you got to get them trained. We're going to be able to train that crew faster, get them up and operating and effective for you much faster. But we've also tried to remove some of the repetitive tasks out of that process. So like, for example, drag, calculating your drag knife. That can be somewhat tricky at times. You're adjusting that knob, building that pressure up, waiting for that pipe to just barely move, let it close, you calculate it, drag, so on. Now the machine does it automatically for you. And again, I talked about the shift sequence, eliminating that shift sequence from the operator. So those two things, those repetitive tasks that happen that, again, how many times do we hear an operator, and these guys out there today, they're asked to do a lot of different functions on the job site. So you might have a guy out running the skid steer today. Tomorrow he's over here fusing pipe. And so a lot of times those things can be forgotten. And that's where we wanted to make it as easy and user-friendly as we possibly can. And that's what we've done.
Well, you're whetting my appetite here. You've got some cool machinery behind us. Are you able to show that to us?
Yeah, I can. You want me to walk out back here and point some out on it?
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love it.
Brett, let me get you one more question before you walk us through that. Because I think that's super exciting with the automated flow. Do you still have to be a trained fusion tech to work in level 3?
We encourage you to be, because there's still functions of the job itself and of the process that take training. There's still human intervention, loading the pipe, how to properly load, and safety again is a massive aspect of all that. How to properly face the pipe, why is spacing to the stops important. All those functions that still involve the operator that definitely do require training. And I'll say, as easy as level 3 sounds, we still want a trained operator there being able to do that level 3, because what about when that operator has to go in ditch and be able to make that tie-in down the ditch? We still want him to be trained to be able to understand how to do a level 3, a level 2, when does that come into play, and then also that level 1 as well. So
okay, thank you.
Yep,
Yeah,
you bet.
It's not.
Great question.
It's not changing our message about training.
I was trying to figure out if I can do it or not.
Do it, Dan. Anybody can do it. Even I can do it. So
yeah.
Even Pete can do it. So
Thanks for that. All right, I series in the medium diameters. What do you got there? Is that a 412 or a 618?
Well, this is our legacy machine, the Scratch Start Series 2. This machine's been out now for about 5-6 years. We've sold a ton of these machines. It's like a workhorse in a lot of different fields up there. And again, what we wanted to do was bring that integration of the technology into the machine. For one, there's some safety aspects and some features of the machine that I want to hit on first here real quick. If you've used our legacy machine, you notice the heater has always been a separate item where, you're ready to start your fusion, you're going to lean down, pick up your heater, put it in your fusion zone, and then you're going to close your carriage against that heater surface. Well, we've removed that because, again, that repetitive task on an operator can also, be taxing sometimes when that guy's doing it 10 times a day on that heater. And so we actually integrated the carriage. I don't know if you can see it. I turn my computer a little bit here. But we brought the heater and the phaser together. And they index all on one platform. So it's like a track on the back of the machine that allows that to index. But it's pretty slick. what I'm going to do is pull forward here lightly. Notice how easily it's slide back and forth. That's the facer, heater, same thing. Slide it back and forth. With indexes side by side. And again, this is something that a lot of our channel partners came to us and they said, you know, our 618 machine, we used to have 2 size heaters that hit that range from 6 to 18. Now we have 1 heater that will do full range of the machine. And they said, you know what? We've had so many machines that go to job sites with both heaters, but the machine comes back and only comes back with 1 heater. And so that was on our legacy machines. Now, no more of that missing heater situation. We've got 1 heater. But also, that's what's going to function to allow you to have fusion guide control. So as that comes in, as you open the carriage, it's going to hit a brake. So if your heater is here, it's a down position. One other couple things.
All right, you got to talk to the microphone. We can't hear you when you're faced the other way.
I'm sorry. So what I've got is a heater lock. So the heater, you know, the operator uses it to check your heater surface. It's in a lock position here. Just simply release it at a release point. It's going to come back up. But see how it kicks out of there? That's what happens when you come together, you've hit your dwell time, or you've hit your heat soak time, carriage opens, heater's going to kick out, machine's going to come back together to make that final fusion. So that's a biggie here. That indexer design is huge. This machine does have hydraulic clamping as well, which is an option. The little 412 I've got sitting next to me does not have hydraulic clamping. But you notice this. So one thing our folks are really going to be happy about, excuse me real quick, about this is, so we've been asked about this, why can't you guys put a cover on your DataLogger? Well, we will now. So the cover is going to go on every DataLogger, and this will be a kit form for large diameter machines, even our Triton machine that we just rolled out. So, but here's one thing I'm really proud of is you talk about training, okay? So you need help. So Dan's in the field, and Dan thinks about how do I do a level 1 fusion again? What am I going to do? Well, Dan's simply going to scan that QR code, and up is going to pop a list of about, right now we've got it loaded. We're working on populating, but how to do a level 1 fusion on your 618, how to do a level 2 fusion on your 618, and so on. A machine walk around, just pointing out some of the daily checks that an operator should do. So how to take the carriage off the machine, how to go in ditch, what are the things there? So simple little 60-second tutorials that an operator, that's not operating the machine every day, just needs a little refresher, is able to stand there right at the machine and be able to do that and learn. We all have our phones today, but what a great learning tool it is to be able to do that. So
when I get qualified from McElroy in medium diameter butt fusion, am I taught how to remove the carriage from the chassis?
Probably not. Do you remember?
No, I wasn't, but that was like 5 years ago.
Typically not. That's going to be a special operation.
Got
Something
it.
you're probably going to learn if you came back. General operations of the machine is enough. We're going to focus on that at first. Some of the more specialized type operations that you're going to run into in a job, we're going to come back and teach you that. Second.
I like that white QR code thing. Is that protection for the DataLogger, or is that a sunshade?
So it is a sunshade. One thing our operators told us is the DataLogger tends to sun load. I was in this weekend outside, working outside, come back to my phone, I'm listening to music, the music stops, I come back to my phone and I've got the red, overheating issue on my phone.
Yeah.
So So I've got to go inside, let the phone cool down. It's the same thing. These things are loading a ton of sun on these job sites. They're not shutting down necessarily like our phones do, protecting themselves. They got to get really, really hot. But this gives the operator some protection that they're going to be able to, basically give a visor and protect your data logger. So
Okay.
it's going to help them out.
So what are the key advantages of having, what is the I-Series? What is the advantage of having the DataLogger integrated with the medium diameter machines? Could you just repeat that for me?
Uh-huh. So, you notice on this machine, you see your knobs and levers here in your hydraulic manifold. You don't. On that machine, you do. So remember the shift sequence?
Yep.
So when an operator comes together, he's already faced the pipe, okay? He's going to check if his pipe slips in the jaws. He's going to check his alignment of his pipe on the inside portion. He needs to make adjustments. He's going to have to do that, then reface and so on, get all that set. Then he's going to start his fusion, okay? That operator's controlling all that, and he's already preset those pressures and so on based on what the data logger's telling him, based on his OD, based on his DR value. All that information is coming in to that data logger, but the operator is in control how that's happening, okay? With the integration of the data logger itself, now the data logger is taking over. There's no more knobs, levers on your hydraulic manifold, and the machine is basically performing for you.
Okay, got it. So that's the key advantage. So in the old days, if you wanted the data logger, you'd have to buy that separately. In the new days, the data logger is included, and now it's the kind of the brains of that fusion machine.
In fact, even the operation. So you toggle between, probably asking, how do you move the carriage? Well, you move the carriage through the data logger. And the operation is extremely simple to do. All you're doing is moving between one screen and the other screen. I want to tell you a story. So this is one of our betas. So this product has been really in design here since about mid last year. So about December, we took one of our alphas. We built 2 alphas. And then from there, we built 4 betas. So we took one of the alphas, one of the engineers and myself drove on up to Kansas on a job up there where they were actually fusing in. There was a huge soybean plant being built. They had to tie into the city's water system, but they had to run pipe about 10 miles long to be able to tie into that system to be able to feed that soybean plant. So perfect job to be on. Pipe was strung out. So we show up on the job. And the group of about 8 guys, and I'm talking to them about how to use the machine and show them a level 1 fusion, level 2, level 3, fusion guide control. And about that time, kind of towards the end, one of the younger guys who was the key operator was kind of like, you could see him maneuvering into the machine. And he maneuvered in, he started it up, he kind of just takes off and goes up to where he needed to be to start fusing for that day. Kind of like, you guys continue your conversation. I have enough now. I'm going to go get to work. He did. He went to work, and for the next 2 days, he produced, I think it was 22 or 20 plus something joints, just fusing. So that was probably mid-morning, say like on a Thursday. That rest of that day, he did 10 fusions the rest of the afternoon. We showed up the next morning, he cranked out another 10, and then I think a little bit more, and then we had to load because we had to get back to Tulsa. But the reason I highlight that story is he was probably, and I'm not picking on us, Dan's in the what I call the screen and joystick generation. But this guy was not intimidated by running that machine whatsoever. And after I showed him, it was like he was sitting down running, using his joystick back at home, playing, Minecraft, or I probably completely dating myself by saying that, or, I'll say, the new college football is out there. I'm like, it was no big deal. Get this. So his supervisor shows up, and first comments out of the guy's mouth were, gosh, running a machine off a computer screen just doesn't make any sense to me. So sorry to say, Pete, this guy was about our age. And I'm like, hang on, let's go walk through the machine. Let me show you how easy it is. We did walk through it, and he agreed it was really easy to use. But that's that next generation that's going to be fusing pipe. We're seeing tremendous growth in our marketplace. Again, I mentioned it earlier. How do we bring these guys and gals up and train so they're productive faster? And then putting them on a machine like this, that it's like no big deal. Training is still heavily important on this, but we really want to take out that intimidation factor and not let them.
Well, Brett, if you've had that much success in the larger diameters, you're going to have it in the smaller and the mediums for sure. I'm just thinking about how we're going to talk to people about it, because I don't really talk too much about the I-Series, but the advantages that you're sharing stories about really make it valuable. So I've got to figure out how to communicate that value and talk about, the difference in generations on podcast alone. Because of Dan's efforts in improving our YouTube presence, we're now getting more views on YouTube than we are listens as a podcast. So the market's changing all the time. I mean, we got to come up with an app. We don't have an app yet. There's so many things we can do. But to see you guys now selling this product that's been so successful in the larger diameters and have it ready for market, that is so cool. So when is it ready for market? When will this 618 and 412s be ready?
Yeah, so we're, in fact, as I worked my way through the plant just a little bit ago, we're slowly starting to move in and build out these lines. When you're here with us, this will make a lot more sense. But the first line that we brought in here at our Broken Arrow facility was the Triton, the new Triton line. So we are building Tritons right now, right out back. As you walk through, and then you kind of come a little bit further through that area, you're going to see the rolling 28 machine that you're so used to seeing, you guys have in your fleet. And then you're going to see the Track 500, which is being built here at Broken Arrow. And so then the next line that's going in is going to be the I-Series line, where we're going to build the 412i, the 618i. We're still going to build. We're going to build the 28 over here as well. So the 28's not going to have the integration of the technology. It's still going to be your 28, but it will go on the new vehicle design that we have here in front. Behind me. So all that's going to be built here.
Brett, will your customers have the ability to get a 412 without the I-Series, or is all new 412s are going I?
All 412s are going to be. So
got it.
All 412s, 618s. What they can buy, though, is they can buy a rolling machine. So if they want a rolling machine, they get the indexer, the new indexer design that's going to function, but they have the tried and true hydraulic manifold that they're accustomed to using.
Well, I like that because it forces them to use the DataLogger. Now they don't have a choice. So this data is going to be there, right?
Yep, and that's what Mike Pacheco and I have had a lot of conversations. We've talked DataLogger for so long. There's so many different industries. Large diameter affects, say this much. Medium diameter is going to affect this much. So there's so many more discussions in terms of DataLogger that need to happen out there that are going to affect a lot more people and on their job. And so, but I think of the water markets out there and how exciting it will be to be able to bring a product like this in. As these guys are out there really working to, if we're talking about, replacing other competitive materials out there, bringing in polyethylene, what a game changer, because this just makes it so easy for them. Why wouldn't you want to adopt that? Because now you've got the leak-free solution. Now we've got an even easier joining for you. I mean, Why would you not want to embrace that technology and bring it into your municipality?
Well,
Go ahead.
so we have a new member. Sovereign Pipe is now a member, and they're manufacturing pipe there in Oklahoma. And they published in their social media today, they said that 72% of last month's production went to the water market.
That's fantastic.
Can you believe
Exciting.
that? I mean, most pipe companies don't share that information, but these guys did. They're proud of it. And, the municipal water market, it's now the biggest market of all the markets. I mean, when you and I started in this industry, Brett, polyethylene was like number 5 out of 9. Now we're number 1.
It's amazing. Yeah, Jeremy and Sovereign have really taken off down there, and tremendous partner of all of ours. But that's really exciting news that 70% of the pipes going to the water market.
Yeah. So what did you want to say when I interrupted you?
Oh, I was just going to say that another kind of field success story we had is we took this machine. As a product manager, I'm trying to get this machine as exposed as I possibly can. So I'm trying to hit hot spots around here. You guys know somebody around our area, even Dallas, Kansas City, that market, close enough for us to bid trailer, up, let me know. I'd love to get it up there. And I'm working with some of our channel partners up in the Kansas City area to be able to do that. But we took it up to Springfield Utilities, those guys, because those guys are pretty advanced in terms of what they're doing up there. And so we took the machine up there, showed them, they loved the technology. Again, it was kind of one of those young guys kind of gathered around the machine. And I'm not picking on the old guys. I'm an old guy, but it's definitely, it's like when Dan said about your phone, we all have these. When we first got them, they were a little intimidating. We're always nervous about syncing up that initial phone, capturing. We don't want to lose our contacts. We don't want to lose all of our apps. We don't want to do this. I remember my dad would have just a tizzy when you get a new phone. I'm like, Dad, it's okay. I'll walk you through how to do this. But now they've made that so easy. It's the same thing. We've made it so easy that why not embrace it? No, it's technology, and we're not going backwards. We're only going forwards.
Yeah, that's great advice. Well, Brett, what a great conversation. It's so excited to learn about what's going on at McElroy with this debut of the I-Series coming down in size. I mean, that's just fantastic. Is there anything you want to share with the audience? In addition,
I just am excited about the future of our industry. You guys, you've seen the growth. You talk about when we first started out, going on road shows, and there's so many great memories I have of road shows, Montreal, Canada, and all these spots we were at and lugging machines in. But the educational side has gotten so much more advanced. You guys have come right along in terms of educating the market. I remember a session we were sitting at and kind of did a live fusion in front of the audience. And after finishing that, the amount of questions that just started peppering all of us about how did that happen? Why did you do that? What's next? And we walked out of there like, holy moly, that was so exciting to hear. So I just, I can't wait to see what the next 10 years, I'll date myself here. I'm 58. I do hope to work, another 9-10 years, because I just want to see how far advanced we can get. When polyethylene is fused properly, correctly, consistently, it's 0% water loss. 0. And you and I see it. We all see it. We talk about it, about how much water loss so much these cities have. And we're so blessed to walk up and turn on our faucet and water comes out. The day that doesn't happen, what's going to happen? That's when people will pay attention. Hopefully it won't happen, but it easily could because of the water loss that's happening in the older structure that's in the ground today. But with the new technology in terms of pipe that's happening out there, the equipment that's making it easier to to fuse together, and then you guys helping us educate the marketplace. It's the next 10 years are going to be a really, really exciting time for all of us. So
yeah, no question. Well, great job today. Brett Stone, always welcome on the podcast. Thank you for educating us. And Dan Landy, what do you want to say about our sponsor, WL Plastics?
Yeah, there's one note I wanted to hit on before we sign off, Brett, and that was one of the quickest hours in a long time. We were doing a roadshow in Virginia, and I was getting a lot of grief from my coworkers because we went to go to the Fusion, and I didn't check to make sure the heater plate was getting up to temperature, and I thought I broke the heater plate. Either that, or this heating elements over 15 years, you might have to replace it periodically. But we called the helpline, and within 5 minutes they got back to me and they said, check your power supply. So they diagnosed it, and I had the blinking red light, and we were in some older garage, and we weren't getting a good current basically. But for all the listeners out there, definitely take advantage of your technical support. It is so efficient.
Hey Dan, you weren't warming your large tortillas on the heater that day, were you?
No.
Okay.
Maybe breakfast burrito, but yeah.
Enchiladas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, guys, thank you so much for listening to the Poly Podcast. And I want to say thank you to WL. Josh Cottle over there, thank you for sponsoring and keeping this program going. And to our audience, we're back on track. We kind of took some of the summer off. We're back on track. We're doing one a month. So this will be our September publish podcast. And you got any ideas? Any people you think we should interview? Let us know. We're going to focus a little bit more on construction this fall. So with that, Brett Stone, product manager at McElroy Manufacturing in Tulsa, thank you for appearing on the Poly Podcast.
Peter, Dan, thank you for all you guys do out there. Keep up the great work. And as always, just let us know where you need our support, either to help you guys out.
Awesome. All right, with that, we'll sign off. Thank you, Dan Landy, for being here yet again on the Poly Podcast.